The rain poured down heavily as Lily drove through the winding roads leading to the old Blackwood Hotel. Nestled deep in the countryside, the hotel had a reputation for being both luxurious and eerie. Lily had heard the rumors, stories of guests who claimed to have seen strange apparitions or heard whispers in the dead of night. But she wasn't easily frightened, and the idea of spending a night in a place so steeped in mystery intrigued her. As a writer, she was always looking for inspiration, and this seemed like the perfect opportunity. When she finally arrived, the hotel loomed before her, an imposing structure shrouded in darkness. The architecture was grand, with towering spires and intricate stonework. But there was something unsettling about the way it seemed to absorb the light, as if the building itself was a living, breathing entity. She parked her car and hurried inside, eager to escape the rain. The lobby was just as she had imagined, ornate chandeliers hanging from the ceiling, antique furniture, and a large fireplace crackling with flames. The receptionist, a middle-aged man with a serious expression, greeted her as she approached the front desk. "Welcome to Blackwood Hotel," he said in a low voice. "You must be Miss Lily Winters. We've been expecting you." Lily smiled, though the receptionist's tone was more ominous than welcoming. "That's right. I have a reservation for one night." The receptionist handed her an old-fashioned brass key attached to a small plaque with the number 308 engraved on it. "Your room is on the 3rd floor. I should warn you, Miss Winters, the hotel has a history. If you experience anything unusual, please don't hesitate to call the front desk." Lily raised an eyebrow, her curiosity piqued. "Unusual?" The receptionist hesitated for a moment, then leaned in slightly, lowering his voice even more. "Room 308 has been unoccupied for years. The last guest who stayed there, well, let's just say it didn't end well. The room is said to be cursed." Lily felt a chill run down her spine but brushed it off with a nervous laugh. "Thanks for the warning. I'm sure I'll be fine." With that, she took the key and made her way to the elevator. As she ascended to the 3rd floor, the air seemed to grow colder, and an uneasy feeling settled over her. When the elevator doors opened, she stepped out into a long, dimly lit hallway. The carpet was worn, and the wallpaper peeled in places, giving the impression that this part of the hotel had been forgotten. Lily found her room at the end of the hall. The door creaked as she unlocked it and pushed it open, revealing a room that was both beautiful and unsettling. The decor was classic Victorian, heavy drapes, a large canopy bed, and antique furniture, but the air was thick with a sense of foreboding. She couldn't shake the feeling that she was being watched. Trying to ignore the unease, Lily set her bags down and began to explore the room. The walls were adorned with old portraits of stern-looking individuals, their eyes seeming to follow her every move. She shuddered and turned away, focusing instead on the view from the large window that overlooked the dense forest surrounding the hotel. As she settled into the bed, Lily couldn't help but think about the receptionist's warning. She reached for her laptop, intending to do some research on the hotel's history, but the internet connection was weak, and she couldn't find much information. Frustrated, she decided to turn in early, hoping a good night's sleep would clear her mind. But sleep did not come easily. As the night wore on, Lily was awakened by a faint sound, a soft, rhythmic tapping like fingernails against wood. She sat up, heart pounding, and listened. The sound seemed to be coming from the far corner of the room, near the wardrobe. Slowly, she got out of bed and approached the source of the noise. Her breath caught in her throat as the tapping stopped abruptly, leaving only the sound of her own heartbeat echoing in the silence. Just as she was about to turn away, the wardrobe door creaked open on its own. Lily gasped, stepping back in shock. Inside, she saw nothing but darkness. With trembling hands, she reached for the small lamp on the bedside table and shone its dim light into the wardrobe. It was empty, save for an old-fashioned dress hanging in the back, something that looked like it belonged to another era. She hesitated for a moment, then reached out to touch the fabric, which was cold and damp, as if it had been soaked in water. Suddenly, a rush of cold air swept through the room, extinguishing the lamp and plunging her into darkness. Lily fumbled for the light switch, but the power seemed to be out. Panic rising, she backed away from the wardrobe, her eyes wide as she struggled to see in the pitch-black room. Then she heard it, a soft sobbing, coming from the direction of the bed. Lily's blood ran cold as she turned to face the sound. There, sitting on the edge of the bed, was the figure of a woman, her face buried in her hands as she wept. The woman's long, dark hair hung in tangled strands, obscuring her face. She wore the same dress Lily had seen in the wardrobe. Who are you?" Lily whispered, her voice trembling. The woman slowly lifted her head, revealing a pale, gaunt face with hollow, sunken eyes. Tears streaked down her cheeks, and her lips trembled as she spoke. "They lied to me. They lied." Lily backed away, her heart racing. "What do you mean? Who lied to you?" The woman's expression twisted into one of anguish. "He said he loved me. But he left me. He left me alone in this place." Realization dawned on Lily as she remembered the rumors of a tragic event that had taken place in the hotel years ago. A young woman who had been abandoned by her lover and had taken her own life in despair. It was said that her spirit still lingered in the hotel, unable to find peace. "Please, you have to help me," the woman pleaded, her voice growing more desperate. "I can't leave. I'm trapped here." Lily's mind raced as she tried to think of what to do. "How can I help you?" Before the woman could answer, the room was suddenly filled with the sound of pounding on the door. Startled, Lily turned to see the door rattling violently, as if someone or something was trying to break in. The woman on the bed let out a scream of terror and disappeared, leaving Lily alone in the dark. Lily's hands shook as she approached the door, unsure of what she would find on the other side. The pounding continued, louder and more insistent. Summoning all her courage, she reached for the doorknob and yanked the door open. There was nothing there. The hallway was empty, silent, and still. Lily's breath came in short gasps as she stepped back into the room, her heart pounding in her chest. She knew she couldn't stay here any longer. Grabbing her belongings, she fled the room, not bothering to lock the door behind her. She raced down the hallway, the shadows seeming to close in around her as she ran. When she reached the lobby, the receptionist was there, standing behind the desk with that same unreadable expression. "Leaving so soon, Miss Winters?" he asked, his voice devoid of any real concern. Lily didn't respond. She rushed past him and out the front door, desperate to get away from the hotel and whatever horrors it held. The rain had stopped, but the night was still dark and foreboding as she drove away, never looking back. As she sped down the road, her heart still racing, Lily couldn't shake the image of the weeping woman from her mind. The sorrow in her eyes, the desperation in her voice. It was as if she had truly been trapped, not just in the hotel, but in the despair that had claimed her life. Days later, Lily would find herself unable to forget that night. She would write about it, pouring her fear and confusion onto the page. But no matter how many times she told the story, the sense of unease would never leave her. Because deep down, she knew that the woman in room 308 was still waiting, still trapped, still haunted. And perhaps so was she.